Good morning, everyone. I believe we are ready to rock and roll. Welcome to this regular board meeting of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission. The time is 11:03 by my watch, and I call this meeting to order. Mr. Saeed, can you please read the notice of the public meeting?
Chairwoman, this is a rescheduling of a regularly scheduled meeting of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission's 2025 annual meeting schedule. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Senator Byron M. Baer Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of the rescheduled meeting was provided to the Asbury Park Press, Bergen Record, Courier Post, Star Ledger, and the Trenton Times on September 24, 2025. The agenda and information regarding the virtual nature of the meeting and the ability to live stream was also posted on the CRC website. The meeting time and location has also been posted on the website of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission and with the Office of the Secretary of the State.
Thank you, Mr. Saeed. Can you please take roll call?
Commissioner Mapp,
Present.
Vice Chair Nash,
Present.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Present.
We now have a quorum. The first order of business is for the Commission to go into executive session to discuss legal matters and litigation and investigation updates. These are discussions that are not shared with the public. We believe the executive session should take about 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Thank you. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Still moved.
Moved
Second.
by Commissioner Mapp, seconded by Vice Chair Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion to go into executive session? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. So as Mr. Saeed mentioned, we expect the executive session to last approximately 90 minutes. We will leave the live stream running during that time. So we can expect to resume the public session of this meeting at about 12:35. Thank you for your patience, everyone. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Our executive session has ended, so we will now resume the public portion of this meeting. Time is 1:03. Mr. Saeed, can you please announce the next agenda item?
Next up on the agenda is approving the minutes of both the Commission's open and executive sessions held on September 10th, 2025. The minutes have been shared with the members of the Commission prior to this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Saeed. If there are no edits or changes to the meeting minutes, is there a motion on this matter?
Make the motion that the minutes be approved as is. Second.
Commissioner Mapp moves to approve the meeting minutes, seconded by Vice Chair Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
The next item on the agenda is the Chair's report.
Thank you. I want to start today's Chair's report by highlighting some of the agency's achievements. Some of our board members and staff recently attended conferences in Atlantic City and Washington, D.C. And at each conference, and in fact, at so many cannabis conferences held across the country, one thing has been clear. New Jersey is consistently recognized and praised by industry participants, lenders, and even other cannabis regulators as doing terrific work. We've been recognized by advocacy groups and other cannabis regulators for our progressive and inclusive policies. The wealth of information on our website has been routinely called out by conference attendees as an invaluable resource. And our accessibility as an agency has been lauded by business owners who need to contact their assigned compliance officers, by bankers who need to verify whether prospective clients have a valid license, and by analysts who cull data to develop informative industry outlooks. I want to underscore these acknowledgments because every state that had legalized cannabis for adults has encountered challenges, chief among them juggling competing goals and managing sometimes unrealistic external expectations. But the proof is in the pudding. New Jersey is a national leader, and other states have noticed. Nevertheless, detractors have continued to push false or misleading narratives about the work of the Commission. For more than a year, these detractors have taken aim against this board specifically for its diligent action, trying to pressure the agency away from doing what is in the best interest of the industry and from enforcing the law. Now, as a government body, we are, of course, no stranger to being the subject of criticism. Legitimate criticism is, and expressions of dissatisfaction. They do not offend us. Rather, they help us to faithfully, impartially perform our duties and make the industry better for business owners, patients, and consumers. But to belie and undermine the tremendous work that has happened under the Murphy administration is a far cry from a legitimate discourse that offers solutions to give meaningful opportunities for not just some, but all aspiring business owners to thrive. We've been criticized for holding to the guardrails that protect new entrepreneurs, but those protections have resulted in a market that is being lauded for being diverse along racial, cultural, and socioeconomic lines. We continue to hear complaints about the financial burdens of processing times, yet much of the timeline for application processing lies outside of the Commission's purview. There are required FBI background checks, and state law requires people to get municipal approval and pay for property leases or purchases, all before even submitting an application to the Commission. All these things take time and money, and only the legislature can reduce those burdens that are written into statute. But what our agency can do and does is educate applicants about what does and doesn't require spending before an application is approved. We also collaborated with sister agencies at the New Jersey Economic Development Authority and the New Jersey Business Action Center to stand up not one, but 2 state-sponsored assistance programs that garnered national praise. Meanwhile, there are other agencies and branches of government, of state government, that have the power to lower some of those barriers that continue to impede entrepreneurs, patients, and consumers, namely high prices, lack of capital, complicated municipal approval processes, and access to business spaces. But sadly, many have chosen to throw barbs and stones rather than take action to make the industry accessible and beneficial for everyone. I'm confident that were it not for the people who presently sit on this board and those who sat on the board before now, as well as our senior staff led by Director Chris Riggs, this industry would be the opaque, monopolistic spectacle that people feared would take shape. So I want to thank my fellow commissioners, both past and present, our staff that work hard day in and day out, the New Jersey EDA, the NJ-CRC, and Governor Murphy for their hard work and commitment to the efforts that led us to being the model that we are. The New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission remains committed to the values of equity and safety and serving with the integrity and transparency that New Jerseyans deserve. Finally, I want to move on and remind everyone of the new online form that can be used to submit regulatory waiver requests. We are still seeing some people submit their waiver requests by email or by letter. So I want to take this time to remind folks that we created this form to standardize the waiver request process and ensure that requesters are thinking through the necessary components for their request. So the form can be found on our website. You go to the Information Hub tab, then click on Cannabis Statutes and Rules, and then you scroll down to the Adult Use Recreational Cannabis section. Remember that a request to waive a regulation must meet 3 criteria: must be consistent with the medicinal or recreational cannabis laws, must be necessary in order to provide access to cannabis, and it must not jeopardize anyone's health, safety, or welfare. And anyone who submits a request to waive a regulation will get a response in writing. The decision will be made on your request at a public board meeting unless you withdraw your request. And our team has done a great job in making sure that our turnaround times for these waiver requests continues to decrease. So thank you to everyone on our legal team and with the Office of Compliance and Investigations for your help in making sure that we're getting back to these businesses with answers on their requests. That concludes today's chair's report. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Executive Director's Report.
Director Riggs, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I don't have a large executive director's report. We will be presenting our quarterly data to the board in a future meeting, hopefully by December, but I will have a brief report here. Updates on dispensary openings. So more than 260 medicinal and recreational dispensaries are open in all of the 21 counties. We've got a list of the new dispensaries up there. Got some more opening up in the northeastern part of the state. And one medical-only dispensary has opened recently, Alyssa Gardens in Secaucus. Licensing update, total licenses approved as of September 18th of 2025. A little over 3,000 applications have been submitted in our licensing portal. 2,388 of those applications have been approved. 276 are pending review in the Office of Licensing, looking for completeness review and checking their documents. 243 applications are pending resubmission following a cure letter. We found an issue on the staff side of things with the application, sent them a cure letter, and we're waiting for a response. 164 applications are with our Office of Compliance and Investigations, doing more of a deep dive into the application and the individuals that are part of that application. Licensing update for total adult use or recreational licenses that have been approved as of September 18th of 2025. 1,638 conditional licenses have been approved, 459 conditional to annual conversions, 291 annual licenses. We have 84 expanded alternative treatment centers. The total operating licenses and permits in the state is up to 361. Applications that are up for consideration today that we are recommending to the board are 4 conditional to annual conversions, 7 annual licenses, and I believe the renewals, we are recommending 62 renewals today. Current patient enrollment numbers as of September 15th of 2025. Total patients are still going down. It's at 55,513. Caregivers remain steady, 3,738, and same with doctors, a little over 1,500 doctors that are currently enrolled in the medical cannabis program. And with that, Madam Chair, that'll end my executive director's report, and I kick it back to you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. And are there any questions from the board for Director Riggs? Hearing none, then we will move forward.
The next item on the agenda is consideration of committee reports.
Thank you. And we will hear from just one committee that has a report, the Permitting and Licensing Committee. So I will turn it over to Vice Chair Nash.
Thank you, Chairwoman, and good afternoon, everyone. The Permitting and Licensing Committee receives and reviews extension requests from conditional license holders who need more time to convert to an annual license. We have approved 28 extensions from August through September, and total for this year has been 119 conditional license extensions. I wanted to point out that the extension requests can be found. You can go back one slide again, please. If you look at the bottom of this slide, you will see that they can be found under the tab businesses, license applications. And if you look to the right, the form can be found under application extension requests. I do want to note that if someone does want to submit an extension request, it must be submitted at least 15 days before license expiration. Next slide, please. And let's go here. So the top reasons for extension requests: municipal approval delays is 86%, lack of or delay with site control, and then funding. The top municipalities in which licenses are awaiting town decisions are Atlantic City, Newark, and Patterson. So again, if you are experiencing any delays and you need some more time, please fill out the extension request at least 15 days before your license expiration, and the committee will consider that. Also, if you are on an agenda, if there's a municipal issue, you're on the agenda, if you can demonstrate that you have submitted an application, it would be helpful if you could submit with your extension request as much information to help the committee make an informed decision. And that is all I have. Madam Chair, I cede the floor back to you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Nash. Are there any questions for Vice Chair regarding the committee report? Hearing none, then we'll move forward.
The next item on the agenda is consideration of public notices and publications.
Here, we'll turn the floor over to Director Riggs to provide an overview and recommendation on board action regarding the Social Equity Excise Fee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the Social Equity Excise Fee, the statute requires us to calculate the average price of usable cannabis for the calendar year to be used in determining that number. Staff needs additional time to adequately calculate that number, and therefore is recommending that we waive the regulation and extend the time period, removing the November 1st requirement for filing in the registrar the social equity fee notice. So the recommendation is to waive the rule requiring that November 1st deadline. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions for Director Riggs? And I believe the precise rule that he's referring to is NJ-CRC 17:30-3.4D for that November 1st deadline. So if there are no questions for Director Riggs, is there a motion on this matter regarding the waiver of the rule? I will move to issue a waiver of NJ-CRC 17:30-3.4D so that so that staff have the time necessary to make calculations according to sound methodologies for our before we adjust the social equity excise fee at a later date.
I second that.
Seconded by Vice Chair Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion to waive the rule? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item for consideration are applications for business conversions.
Director Riggs, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. These are micro business to standard business conversions. We have 4 of them that we are recommending to the board today. They're up here on the screen: Doobies LLC, Golden Door Dispensary LLC, Jersey Meds Management LLC, and the Happy Farmer LLC. These applications were submitted in the portal and reviewed by our licensing team and the Office of Compliance and Investigations. They've been deemed complete. Renovation or relocation plans have been reviewed. We've looked at the business activity over the last 180 days. Site plans have been reviewed, new business plans, and each of these entities has also submitted an LPA. Therefore, we are recommending that these individual applicants have satisfied the regulatory requirements, and we are recommending that all 4 of these micro business to standard business conversions be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Any questions from the board? Hearing no questions from the board, is there a motion on this matter?
So
Madam-
moved.
Go ahead.
I move to approve the business conversion applications.
I second.
Moved by Vice Chair Nash, seconded by Commissioner Mapp. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are location change applications.
Director Riggs, the floor is yours to provide a summary of the location change application received.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 1 location change. Got Your 6 Dispensary LLC in Princeton. It's going to remain at the same address, but move over to a different unit within that complex. We reviewed the application. OCI is satisfied with the application that it meets the regulatory criteria. They confirmed that the new location will satisfy the regulations, and we will be out there doing an inspection as soon as they are moved into that new location. Therefore, we are recommending approval at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board regarding this location change application? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter? Commissioner Mapp, your microphone is muted.
Yes. Madam Chair, I make the motion that the application is approved as presented.
Moved by Commissioner Mapp. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Nash. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item on the agenda, we have consideration of an application for canopy change.
Thank you. Director Riggs, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a modification of the business's capacity or physical plan, and it is a canopy increase for NJ-CRC, an adult use Class 1 cannabis cultivator requesting to increase their canopy from a tier 1 to a tier 4, I believe, or tier 6 canopy greater than 100,000 square feet, but not to exceed 150,000 square feet. The application has been reviewed, site plans, standard operating procedures, all of those things were reviewed and deemed satisfactory under the regulations by the Office of Compliance and Investigation. An inspection will be held once they are built out, and we can inspect the canopy and make sure that we have camera access to the canopy. Therefore, we are recommending that this application to increase the canopy be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. It's quite a jump from tier 1 to tier 6, but I hope they can do it. Are there any questions from the board on this matter? Hearing no questions, is there a motion?
Madam
Madam
Chair,
I make the motion that we approve the application for AGJRA from tier 1 to tier 6.
Moved by Commissioner Mapp. Is there a second?
second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Nash. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are ownership change applications.
Director Riggs, floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have several ownership application changes. We'll go through them here. Earth and Ivy LLC is trying to change their ownership structure. 1111 is adding some new owners. Garden Greens is adding a new owner. Lefty Delights LLC is adding new owners. Shipwrecked LLC is adding new owners, and Theory Wellness of New Jersey is changing their ownership structure. Each of these entities has satisfied the regulatory requirements for an ownership change. The owners and the individuals that were required to be vetted under the regulations were vetted by the Office of Compliance and Investigation, and they were deemed qualified to enter into this adult use market. Therefore, we are recommending that all of these ownership changes be approved by the board today. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the ownership changes for the businesses presented here today.
I
Moved by
second.
Moved by Vice Chair and seconded by Commissioner Mapp. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are the adult use cannabis business conversion license applications.
Okay, Director Riggs, turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Each of these conversion applications had a conditional license, obviously, and they're converting that conditional license into an annual license. They followed our licensing process in the regulations that's spelled out in the regulations, where priority assignment was confirmed. Priority was then verified by our licensing team, where we confirmed that the appropriate documentation that was submitted to support the identified priority was actually provided. Cures are sent out if we need to. A completeness review is conducted by our licensing team, where they confirm that not only are the required documents submitted, but that those documents are actually filled out and all the required information is filled out on those documents. These applications are then scored. Documents are reviewed to ensure that the applicant submitted all the necessary requirements under the regulations and that the application is acceptable. There's then a qualification review conducted on the individuals, financial sources, management services agreements by our Office of Compliance and Investigations. Background checks are conducted if needed on the individual. And then we have a quality control process where we ensure that each of these steps was satisfied and that all the documents satisfy the requirements. Both of these applications meet those requirements, and therefore we are recommending that they be approved today. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we approve these two conditional annual licenses conversions as presented.
And I second.
Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is a cannabis business conversion license application for a higher ground dispensary.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt a resolution invoking the doctrine of necessity in the matter of application 12049, a higher ground dispensary. And I'll explain by reading parts of this resolution. Whereas pursuant to NJ-SA 24-6I-27, the New Jersey Conflicts of Interest Law, NJ-COIL, applies to all employees and members of the commission with limited exceptions. And whereas in accordance with NJ-COIL, one or more commission members is ineligible from considering any matter pertaining to application 12049, an application from a higher ground dispensary. Whereas Chairwoman Wainu has recused herself from all matters involving a higher ground dispensary due to a personal relationship. This recusal was filed with the State Ethics Commission. Due to the recusal, the commission lacks a sufficient number of members necessary to take a valid vote on this application. Regarding applications for an annual license, the commission shall verify the information contained in the application, review the qualifications for the applicable license class set forth in the statute and the regulations, and not more than 90 days after receipt of an application, make a determination. The statute also directs the commission shall approve a license application that meets the requirements unless the commission finds by clear and convincing evidence that the applicant would be manifestly unsuitable to perform the activities for the license class for which licensure is sought. Now therefore be it resolved, the commission finds the following. The commission does not need more time to adequately review application 12049. There is a pressing need for action. That is, action on application 12049 is required by law, and the matter cannot be laid aside until another date because the commission does not need more time to review the application. And the commission is unable to act without the members in conflict taking part. Be it further resolved that as a last resort, the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission hereby invokes the doctrine of necessity so that those who are ineligible to consider this matter can participate in taking required action on application 12049 on October 1st, 2025. If approved, this resolution would take effect immediately. Do I have a motion to approve the rule of necessity?
Yes, you do.
All right, is that a second? I'm motioning. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there
Sorry.
any discussion?
No.
Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes.
I will turn the floor to Executive Director Riggs to share a summary of higher ground application.
Thank you, Vice Chair Nash. This license followed a similar process that I just articulated for the two conditional conversion to annual licenses: priority assignment, priority verification, completeness review. The application is then scored, and then we have a qualification review, quality control. This application has satisfied all the regulations, has been deemed complete, and therefore we are recommending that the higher ground be approved at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions for the board regarding this application? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion?
No.
Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is an adult use cannabis business conversion license application for Chelsea Beach Buds by Bridge City Collective.
Thank you, Mr. Said. I now will acknowledge that we ordinarily would have a recusal on this application. So I am introducing a motion to adopt a resolution invoking the doctrine of necessity in the matter of application number 2406. And just as Vice Chair Nash did, I will also read into the record portions of the relevant resolution. So the New Jersey conflict of interest laws, NJ-CRC applies to all employees and members of the commission with limited exceptions. And in accordance with NJ-CRC, one or more commission members is ineligible from considering any matters pertaining to application number 2426, an application from Chelsea Beach Buds by Bridge City Collective, LLC. Vice Chair Nash has recused herself from all matters involving Chelsea Beach Buds by Bridge City Collective, LLC, due to a personal relationship. And this recusal was filed with the State Ethics Commissions in accordance with standard protocols. Due to the recusal, the commission lacks a sufficient number of members necessary to take a valid vote on application number 2426. And state law requires that regarding applications for an annual license, the commission verify the information contained in the application and review the qualifications for the applicable license class set forth in statute and regulations, and not more than 90 days after receipt of the application, make a final determination as to whether the application is approved or denied, or that the commission requires more time to adequately review the application. State law also directs that the commission shall approve a license application that meets the requirements unless the commission finds by clear and convincing evidence that the applicant would be manifestly unsuitable to perform the activities for the applicable license class for which licensure is sought. So now be it resolved that the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission finds the following. Number one, the commission does not need more time to adequately review application number 2426. Number two, there is a pressing need for action. That is, action on application number 2426 is required by law, and the matter cannot be laid aside until another date because the commission does not need more time to review the application. And number three, the commission is unable to act without the members in conflict taking part. Be it further resolved that as a last resort, the Cannabis Regulatory Commission hereby invokes the doctrine of necessity so that those who were ineligible to consider this matter can participate in taking required action on the matter of application number 2426 today on October 1st, 2025. And if approved, this resolution would take effect immediately. So this is the resolution that I would introduce. And so is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Mapp. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the, to adopt the resolution invoking the doctrine of necessity? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes.
So now we will
next-
turn.
Go ahead, sorry.
So we'll now turn the floor to the substantive underlying application of application number 2426. I will turn the floor over to Director Riggs to provide a summary of the application that was received from Chelsea Beach Buds by Bridge City Collective LLC. Director Riggs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Application 2426 Chelsea Beach Buds by Bridge City Collective LLC, a retailer, has gone through the same process that the additional conditional annual conversion licensees and applicants have gone through. Priority assignment was there. Priority verification, completeness review, the application was scored. We are satisfied with the qualification review, and therefore we are recommending that this application be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions for Director Riggs regarding this application? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Make the motion that we approve the application.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Mapp and seconded by Vice Chair Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion on this motion to approve application number 2426, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. Now, the next item up for consideration are the adult use cannabis business annual license applications.
Thank you, Mr. Saeed. We were just in a hurry to get to it, that's all. I appreciate the eagerness. We're all excited to see these applications moving forward. Director Riggs, floor is yours to describe the applications that apply directly for an annual license. Director Riggs, your microphone is muted.
You missed all the good things that I just said, so I'll restart. These applications, there are 6 annual license applications up for consideration today, 1 cultivator, 1 manufacturer, 4 retailers. These licenses that are up for consideration are followed our licensing process, where there was a priority assignment that was determined. That priority was then verified. A completeness review was conducted by our Office of Licensing and confirming that all the required documents were submitted and all the required information was in fact filled out on those documents. The applications were then scored. Our Office of Compliance and Investigations conducted a qualification review of the individuals that were required under law or regulation to be conducted under a background check to ensure that they could enter into the adult use market. Quality control was done by our Office of Licensing, Compliance, and Legal. And at this time, we are recommending that these annual license applications be approved by the board today. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board for Director Riggs? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the annual license applications for those presented here today.
Moved by Vice Chair Nash. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Mapp. Is there any discussion on this motion? I just want to note for our businesses that some of our annual license applications are from those that are seeking to invoke a relatively new statute, and I appreciate those applicants' patience and collaboration with us to make sure that the provisions of the law are complied with. And I'm happy to support the applications today. Just want to make sure that I underscore the need for everyone to take your time, make sure that your application does comply with the law and our regulations. But I'm happy to support the applications here today. Any additional discussion? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the adult use cannabis business annual license application for Mr. Jones LLC.
So as we did before, we do have a commissioner who ordinarily is recused on this matter. However, I am moving that to adopt a resolution invoking the doctrine of necessity in the matter of application number 16707 from Mr. Jones LLC. And I will read into the record the relevant portions of the resolution. The New Jersey Conflict of Interest Law, NJ-CRC, applies to all employees and members of the commission with limited exceptions. And in accordance with NJ-CRC, one or more commission members is ineligible from considering any matters pertaining to application number 16707, an application from Mr. Jones LLC. Vice Chair Nash has recused herself from all matters involving Mr. Jones LLC due to a personal relationship. This recusal was filed with the State Ethics Commission in accordance with standard protocols. Due to the recusal, the commission lacks the sufficient number of members necessary to take a valid vote on application number 16707. State law states that regarding applications for an annual license, the commission shall verify the information contained in the application and review the qualifications for the applicable license class set forth in statute and regulations, and not more than 90 days after receipt of an application, make a determination as to whether the application is approved or denied, or that the commission requires more time to adequately review the application. State law also directs the commission to approve a license application that meets the requirements of statute and regulations, unless the commission finds by clear and convincing evidence that the applicant would be manifestly unsuitable to perform the activities for the applicable license. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission finds the following. 1, the commission does not need more time to adequately review application number 16707. Number 2, there is a pressing need for action. That is, action on application number 16707 is required by state law, and the matter cannot be laid aside until another date because the commission does not need more time to review the application. And 3, the commission is unable to act without the members in conflict taking part. Be it further resolved that as a last resort, the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission hereby invokes the doctrine of necessity so that those who are ineligible to consider this matter can participate in taking required action on the matter of application number 16707 on October 1st, 2025. And if adopted, this resolution would take effect immediately. So those are the relevant portions of the resolution that I am proposing that we adopt. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Mapp. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion on the motion to adopt the resolution invoking the doctrine of necessity on the matter of application number 16707 from Mr. Jones LLC. Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes.
I'll now turn the floor over to Director Riggs to provide a summary of the substantive application itself from Mr. Jones LLC. Director Riggs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This application was thoroughly vetted through the licensing process. It was the priority assignment was given. It was verified. We did a completeness review. We had some cures where we went back and forth on qualification review was done. But this application is complete. It's been reviewed, it's been scored, and is now recommended for approval by the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board for Director Riggs? Hearing no questions, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we approve the application as presented.
And I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Mapp and seconded by Vice Chair Nash. Any discussion on this motion? I want to note that I am supportive of the motion. However, because the commission has determined what is needed to satisfy the commercial reasonableness requirements under statute, those requirements should be spelled out in the final agency decision that is issued to this applicant. And our legal team, so our chief counsel, should confirm the compliance with those commercial reasonableness requirements before a license is issued to the business. So I believe those things should be spelled out in our resolution and our final agency decision. Is there any further discussion on this matter? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Before I make a vote, I just want to say that from the time I joined this board, Mr. Jones has been a constant on every agenda. And I just want to say that we as a commission will always attempt to do our due diligence, and therefore these things take time, and we want to make sure that the process is properly followed. So we want to make sure that it's a system, a manner that is done in a manner that's beneficial to all parties involved. And with that, I vote yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes. Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
As I cast my vote, I want to echo the sentiments expressed by Commissioner Mapp. I think she said it very well. And so long as the need for compliance with the reasonable commercial reasonableness standards are laid out in the FAD, and our chief counsel confirms in writing the whether there's compliance with the statutory requirements before issuing a license, I'm supportive. So with that, my vote is yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are the adult use cannabis business annual license renewal applications.
We have quite a handful of these right now. Director Riggs, I'll turn the floor over to you. Director Riggs, we again can't hear all the wonderful things that you're saying.
I can't get off of mute today. We have 62 total renewals. I'll handle the first 61 first. So there's 61 renewals. All these renewals are submitted in the licensing portal. As a reminder, the licenses are effective for 1 year from the date of issuance, and they are required to be reviewed annually. We have updated our certification or form that we use for our renewal process to ensure regulatory compliance and to get additional information that may be required. As a reminder, expanded alternative treatment centers are still required after their first year. For their first year of renewal, they need to submit documentary evidence demonstrating additional municipal approval and municipal support. That needs to be an additional document that we get from the municipality. All of our other renewals, though, are only required to fill out this certification form and should only submit additional documents upon request. It streamlines the process. It helps us get the renewals process quicker. So please, please, please just follow that process and use that new form that licensing has presented and made available for everybody to use to streamline this process. With that said, all of these entities have required the required documentation for renewal. That documentation has been reviewed by licensing and the Office of Compliance and Investigations. And we are satisfied with the documentation and that there is regulatory compliance, and therefore we are recommending approval of these 61 renewals.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board regarding this group of 61 annual license renewals?
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion. I move to consider 61 of the annual licenses for renewal and make another motion for a conditional approval of Curaleaf's annual license for their Bordentown dispensary.
Thank you, Vice Chair Nash. I believe Director Riggs is only recommending 61 in this full group.
Okay.
Director Riggs, can you confirm or correct?
That is confirmed. We are recommending 61 renewals.
Gotcha.
Curaleaf is not on that list of 61 renewals.
Okay. Thank you.
I second the 61.
So Vice Chair Nash has moved to approve 61. And Commissioner Mapp is seconding the motion to approve the group of 61 applications.
Apologies for that.
And that's all right. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the group of 61 annual license renewals? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the adult use cannabis business annual license renewal application for Curaleaf.
Thank you. Director Riggs, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Curaleaf's retail license in Bordentown, New Jersey. They are up for renewal. I am recommending that we have a conditional approval of Curaleaf's renewal. Curaleaf submitted its renewal documentation and its certification indicating and checking the box that it did not have or maintain a labor peace agreement. The maintenance of a labor peace agreement is required by statute under the CREAM Act. It is also required by our regulations. Curaleaf Bordentown's adult use license is set to expire on October 30th of 2025. We are recommending that the condition of renewal be that an LPA be submitted prior to October 30th before the expiration date on the current annual license. And if no LPA is submitted, the license will not be approved for renewal. And with that recommendation, I turn the floor back over to you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board regarding Director Riggs' recommendation? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter at this recommendation from Director Riggs?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the conditional approval for Curaleaf's Bordentown dispensary.
I second.
Moved by Vice Chair Nash to conditionally approve the annual license renewal for Curaleaf at their Bordentown location, seconded by Commissioner Mapp. Is there any discussion on this motion to conditionally approve the Bordentown license? I want to thank Director Riggs for his explanation of the situation regarding this one, and his recommendation for conditional approval. I agree that giving Curaleaf the additional time to submit the required labor peace agreement is beneficial, and I hope that they comply with the statute so that they can be renewed. And if they choose not to, then of course that is their decision, and thus the license would not be renewed. Any additional discussion on this motion? Hearing no further discussion on the motion to conditionally approve the annual license renewal for Curaleaf, and on the condition that a labor peace agreement be provided to the commission by October 30th. Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are determinations of rehabilitation.
Thank you. Director Riggs, I'm turning the floor over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I am going to immediately turn the floor over to our Chief Counsel, Dave Twason, to present these items to the board.
Thanks, Director Riggs. So today we have 3 applications for rehabilitation. There are 3 ATC employees. They all received notice that the criminal history check revealed a disqualifying conviction. Each of these individuals were given the opportunity to challenge the accuracy of the criminal history or request determination for rehabilitation. They all submitted their application for rehabilitation. Staff has reviewed and deemed that they are compliant with all the enabling statute and our regulations, and all 3 are recommended for approval. And with that, I turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chief Counsel. Are there any questions from the board for our Chief Counsel? Hearing no questions from the board, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the resolution for determination of rehabilitation for these 3 individuals.
I second.
Moved by Vice Chair Nash and seconded by Commissioner Mapp. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are requests for rule waivers.
Thank you. Chief Counsel, I'll turn the floor back over to you to describe the rule waiver requests submitted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we have several waiver requests that the board will be considering today. In order for the board to grant a waiver of our regulatory requirements, they must determine that they meet the 3 factors under 17:30-3.7, which states that the commission may waive a regulatory requirement if such a waiver is necessary to achieve the purposes of the act. 2 is necessary to provide access to cannabis items to consumers, and 3 does not create a danger to the public health, safety, or welfare. So so the first waiver request today, if you can move on to the next slide, please, is WR034, Blue Oak, New Jersey LLC, and they're requesting a waiver of the regulatory requirements and to waive, if those were waived, then the commission would be able to permit the sale of hemp-derived THC and CBD beverages. And with that, I turn it over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chief Counsel. Are there any questions for Chief Counsel Twason? Chief Counsel, now state law, the CREAM Act prohibits the sale of food and beverages in cannabis dispensaries, correct?
Yes, the CREAM Act defines cannabis as not hemp. There are 2 separate things in the definitions of the CREAM Act. And although there was some legislation passed on hemp, that is all mostly on hold on litigation. So as it stands today, the definition of cannabis is not hemp.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the board?
Chief Toisan, I just want to understand this. So this isn't necessarily waiving a regulatory requirement because the definition is explicit between hemp and cannabis. We are not able to waive a statute. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. We do have, so the regulatory requirement under 1.1C also articulates that that our licensees can sell only cannabis. But that is derived from the statutory requirement, and that cannabis is not hemp. So we would not be able to waive the regulatory requirement since it is derived from that statute, and the board cannot waive any statutory requirements.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any additional questions? Hearing no additional questions from the board.
I
Oh,
do.
yes, Commissioner Mapp, yes.
So you're saying that this is out of our jurisdiction. We cannot make a decision on something like this because it is not within the laws that we follow.
Well, so it is within the laws that we follow. However, the legislature is the only one that has the ability to amend a statute. The board cannot waive a statutory requirement. So in a sense, yes, it is outside of the board's jurisdiction because of that reason.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Mapp. Is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to deny the request for the waiver of Blue Oak based on the discussion that we just had with Chief Toisan.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion on this motion to deny the request? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote on the denial of request WR034?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Next slide, please. So the next waiver request today is WR037 from the NAR Group. They request a waiver of NJ-CRC 17:30A-7.9A. And that's a regulatory requirement that essentially that an ATC require all cultivation sites for an ATC to be located within the same region. So they're requesting a waiver of that requirement. And with that, I'd turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chief Counsel. Are there any questions from the board for Chief Counsel Toisan? Is there? Yes.
I have a general question about this is a medical cultivator. And I understand that it is first a statutory requirement that the same with the previous one, we are not able to waive. But if we were, we would have to waive it for all of the 2019 awardees. Is that right?
Well, I think for this request, it was only requesting for this individual entity. So what the board would be deciding today would be specifically as to NAR Group. I think in the event that the board would vote to approve this request, then other entities would have the ability to then request it for their own individual circumstances.
Okay. All right. I understand. Thank you.
Any additional questions for Chief Counsel? Hearing no additional questions, is there a motion on this matter? I'll again ask if there is a motion on this matter.
Madam Chair, based on the restriction on waiving a statutory requirement, I'm going to deny the waiver for WR 037.
Vice Chair Nash moves to deny the request. Is there a second on this motion?
I'll second the denial.
Seconded by Commissioner Mapp. Is there any discussion on this motion to deny the request? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, on the motion to deny the waiver request, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Next slide, please. So the next waiver request is WR 038 from Genuine Grow LLC. They're requesting a waiver of the regulatory requirement under fees to defer licensing fees until its manufacturing license is operational before they pay those fees. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chief Counsel. Are there any questions for the board? I have one question. Chief Counsel, are fees for I believe these were for background investigations for financial sources. These are in our regulations, and the background investigations were done as part of the license application, or were they done separately? Like, does Genuine Grow LLC have their approval for their license already, and separately they then wanted to get the add-on financial sources that triggered these background investigation fees, or was it done simultaneously?
Yeah, my understanding is OCI does the background checks like during the application process. So those are fees that were incurred in that process of doing the background check and the financial source checks and things like that. So that's why although there's nothing in the regulations that address timing of the payment, those are fees that were done in the course of the investigation.
So Genuine Grow LLC, can staff confirm whether Genuine Grow LLC has already been issued or approved for an annual license? And it's okay if staff need to take a moment to look into that.
Sure, we need to take a look at that one. Yes, they were already approved for this.
Okay, all right. So did they provide an explanation of why they were seeking to add on these financial sources if they didn't have the funds to pay for the background checks, the background investigation?
And their waiver request essentially just argues that letting them pay the fees later will allow it to become operational. I don't believe expressed an explanation for why, to address your question.
Okay. I find the thing that I find concerning here is the idea that our fees are clearly stated upfront. I believe the background investigation fees for financial sources, I think that's been in our regulations probably since 2021 or 2022. So it's not clear to me where the need is coming from, especially if they've already had gotten approval for their annual license application. So at present, while I'm supportive of allowing payment plans ahead of license issuance, but it's not within the commission's practice or policy of issuing a license and then letting businesses pay for licensing fees or anything like that. So at present, I'm not convinced that this waiver request meets the three prongs for granting a waiver, though I am open to hearing from my my colleagues, my fellow board members, to see if they find or if they came across anything that does illustrate satisfaction of those three prongs. Commissioner Mapp, it looked like, I wasn't sure if you were trying to speak. It looked like you were trying to speak for a moment.
I don't understand why I need some clarification on why they need the waiver, because the expenses have already been incurred. And the policy, if the policy is that you pay as you go, that's a deviation from the policy. So I would not really be in agreement with this.
I would be open to helping out a business to allow them to pay over time, but to wait until business becomes operational, I do have concerns because it can take a lot of time. So I'm not so sure I'm in approval of this one for that reason.
Thank you both. So with that, I don't have any further questions for Chief Counsel Tuazon. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions for Chief Counsel? Hearing no further questions, is there a motion on this matter? I will move to deny the waiver request for the reasons are previously articulated. However, I do want to encourage, I would like to ask staff if we could maybe get a better understanding of what their issue is. But at present, it seems that the waiver request does not meet the three criteria for waiving the rule. So that is the motion that I'm making.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Vice Chair Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion to deny the waiver request? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Saeed, on the motion to deny the waiver request, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes.
The final waiver request the board will be considering today is WR039 from Hello High Dispensary LLC. It is a waiver of the regulatory requirement to increase the amount of usable cannabis and cannabis products in a single sales transaction and multiple sales transactions. Essentially, the 1 ounce sales limit is what they're looking to waive, and that is again another statutory requirement. Our regs are derived from that 1 ounce limit in the statute. And that I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chief Counsel. Are there any questions from the board regarding this waiver request? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we deny this request based on the statute and that we cannot arbitrarily change the statute.
And I'll second that.
Moved by Commissioner Mapp and seconded by Vice Chair Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion to deny the waiver request? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are notices of enforcement actions.
Thank you. Director Riggs, I'll turn the floor over to, oh, sorry, getting the signal that it's Chief Counsel Twizon, maybe?
No, it's me.
Oh, it is. It is.
Just trying to get off of mute. We're just trying to get off of mute.
Sorry. I'll turn the floor over to you, Director Riggs, to describe the notice of violation that have been issued.
Thank you very much. Can we go to the next slide, please? There are two enforcement actions up for consideration today. Greater Purpose INV 97-25, which is a manufacturer that was using unapproved vehicles to transfer cannabis for business purposes. And then the Honorable Plant INV 117-25, which is effectuating an ownership change prior to board approval. We should take them one by one. So I'll go with Greater Purpose first and explain that to the board. Greater Purpose, essentially they were using unapproved vehicles to transfer cannabis. As I stated, they were a manufacturer. Their corrective action plan shows that they've taken sufficient steps, in my opinion, to follow the regulations, to ensure that they're following the regulations, to make sure that they're in compliance. However, they do admit that they were using those unapproved vehicles. They seem to be aware and savvy operators of the regulations. So the violation remains for the use of the unapproved vehicles, and therefore we are recommending an enforcement action be taken by the board. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board regarding Greater Purpose? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we impose a fine on Greater Purpose in the amount of $2,500 for the use of two unauthorized vehicles.
And I'll second that.
Right. Is there any discussion on this motion to impose a fine in the amount of $2,500? Hearing no well, actually, I'll note that I agree with staff's determination that this does count as a Category 5 violation per our regulations. I do believe that Commissioner Mapp's suggestion of $2,500 is reasonable and is consistent with our regulations. I think it also is consistent with prior policy and practice for this kind of violation. And so I'm happy to support Commissioner Mapp's motion. Any further discussion on this motion? Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes.
So next, I'll turn the floor back over to Director Riggs to discuss that second notice of violation.
Yes, no problem. Can we go to the next slide, please? The Honorable Plant, we can go to the, there we go for the vote. The Honorable Plant has INV 117-25. They effectuated an ownership change prior to board approval. Documents seem to indicate that. They did submit a corrective action plan and speak of a redemption clause in the agreement. However, our assigned investigator reviewed all the documents, spoke to individuals, and has come to the conclusion that by all accounts that ownership change did occur prior to board approval, and therefore we are recommending that an enforcement action be taken. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Riggs. Are there any questions from the board for Director Riggs? Hearing no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we impose a fine against Honorable Plant for removing the member without CRC approval in the amount of $5,000.
And I'll second that.
Moved by Commissioner Mapp, seconded by Vice Chair Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Yes.
Vice Chair
Um,
Nash.
I read the investigator report and I feel that the responses from the applicants were not satisfactory and just didn't jive. So I think that Commissioner Mapp's $5,000 fine is fair and applicable here.
Thank you, Vice Chair Nash. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion on this motion to impose a fine in the amount of $5,000, Mr. Saeed, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Mapp,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item on the agenda, we have the open public comment period.
Great. Before I open the floor up for public comments, I want to underscore that the Commission takes no pleasure in imposing penalties on businesses. We want our businesses to get and stay in compliance. But when businesses choose not to follow the rules, it is the Commission's duty to enforce those rules. The rules have been on the books for a long time, so there's little excuse for claiming that people did not know what is expected of them. This is not an area where it's better to ask for forgiveness instead of permission. So for our businesses, if you are unsure if something that you want to do is allowed, strongly encourage you to email your assigned compliance officer before you do it. I encourage emails instead of phone calls so that way businesses have written proof of the guidance that is received from our agency. Our Office of Compliance and Investigation wants to encourage compliance, and the office has been very generous with giving warnings to our regulated businesses. For businesses, it is in your best interest to heed those warnings, correct any problems that are being pointed out, and avoid being cited a notice of violation. I want to thank our team members in the Office of Compliance and Investigation for their work in catching all the violations that have come before the board to date. And I also want to thank cannabis workers because sometimes they are also the ones who are blowing the whistle on bad behavior and helping us hold businesses accountable for their actions. So thank you to everyone involved to make sure that we are really giving meaning to our rules and regulations. Now, for public comments, the reminder that members of the public can submit written comments to the board either during or after this board meeting via our website, nj.gov/cannabis/meetings. The deadline for submitting written comments for today's meeting is 5:00 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday, October 2nd. Written comments will be shared with the commission members and they will be made public. Mr. Saeed will call on our speakers who have signed up to speak. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. When your name is called, please take a note of the instructions that are on the current slide for raising your hand. Dial *9 to raise your hand if you're dialing by phone, and then press *6 if you are to unmute yourself. So again, those instructions are *9 and *6 for those who are joining us by phone. Mr. Saeed, can you please call on our first speakers?
Thank you, Chairwoman. As a reminder, Public speakers during this afternoon's public comment period will be limited to 3 minutes. Please be respectful and concise during your comments. I will also give a 30-second heads up for your time. The first person on the list is Erin Bell. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. I see Erin. Before I allow you to speak, I'm just going to ask that everyone that is signed up to speak at today's meeting, please change your name to the name that you signed up with so that I know that this is the correct person to allow to speak. Thank you. Erin, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, commissioners, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Erin Bell, and I'm here to share my experience of being wrongfully terminated from Shipwreck Dispensary, along with the experiences of many of my coworkers who supported unionization. When I accepted this job, I did so with hope and trust. I was promised full-time hours, benefits, and the stability to balance work while finishing college. I turned down 2 other dispensary offers because I believed in those promises. I believed that Shipwreck valued its employees and would provide a safe and fair workplace. Instead, I spent the first 2 months waiting for work. My phone was shut off, my storage unit was at risk, and my finances were hanging by a thread. That's the reality I faced, trying to trust an employer who had made commitments they did not keep. At first, I was given 40 hours a week, but very quickly those hours were cut. I was sent home mid-shift, and at one point I was reduced to only 10 hours in a week. Despite consistently achieving perfect tills, strong sales, and regularly upselling to customers, I was ultimately fired. There was no explanation that made sense, no conversation about performance or behavior, just sudden termination. The environment was solely openly hostile. One day in the lunchroom, the general manager asked me directly whether he should fire half the team or just keep everyone's hours cut and try to be fair. When I later told a coworker about this, they said that they had made the same comment to them. And that kind of rhetoric, repeated across employees, shows a blatant disregard for the stability and livelihood of the team. It was not a question of policy. It was a threat meant to intimidate. It wasn't just me who suffered. Every single worker who signed a union card was let go. I have proof of text messages from coworkers who wanted to sign but were too afraid of losing their jobs, as well as others expressed interest in signing. Their fears were rooted in past experiences at other dispensaries where the attempts to unionize had been met with retaliation. At this time, we had already reached 43% of workers showing interest, needing just 2 more signatures to hit the 51% threshold. Management's intimidation and retaliation stopped us from reaching that goal. On top of that, I have documentation of a marketing packet I personally created and emailed directly to the company's CFO. I was told I would present it in a meeting with ownership. That meeting never happened. Instead, I was fired, and my work, my ideas, time, and creativity remain in their possession without credit or compensation. This is about far more than just losing a paycheck. I am now left without a job, struggling to pay my bills, and trying to stay in school. My coworkers, people who showed up with dedication and passion, are also left without stability.
30 seconds.
The cannabis industry was built on promises of equity and opportunity and fairness, but those promises are meaningless if workers can be misled, intimidated, or retaliated against for exercising their legal right to unionize. I urge the Commission to hold Shipwrecked accountable and to take a closer look at employment practices across dispensaries. Workers are the backbone of this country, and all we are asking for is dignity, fairness, and the ability to do the work we love without fear. Thank you for your time in considering action to make sure no other worker has to go through what we did.
Thank you, Erin. The next person on the list is Donald Campbell. Donald Campbell, if you're in the room, please raise your hand. Last four of the telephone number is 9605. I don't see Donald. The next person on the list is Stephen Prager. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. Stephen Prager. Last four is 1890. I don't see Stephen. The next person on the list is Kathy Bisignano. If you're in the room, Kathy Bisignano, please raise your hand. Last four is 8444. I don't see Kathy. The next person on the list is Todd Johnson. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. Last four is 930. Okay, I see you, Todd. Todd, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Wainu, Vice Chair Nash, Commissioner Mapp, Director Riggs, and CRC staff members. My name is Todd Johnson, and I serve as Executive Director of the New Jersey Cannabis Trade Association. Our membership is comprised exclusively of CRC licensed businesses operating in New Jersey. I provided testimony at last month's CRC meeting and implored the CRC to make it less challenging to operate a successful cannabis business. Today, I'll be discussing the Social Equity Excise Fee, an actual tax that is well intended, but it is making it more difficult for cannabis operators to succeed, especially those social equity, diversely owned, women-owned, and veteran-owned entrepreneurs. First, I want to express the NJ-CTA support for the noble intentions of the SEAF, which seeks to acknowledge the hypocrisy of the failed war on drugs and reinvest in social equity initiatives in the very same communities that were targeted with over-enforcement. Our association wholeheartedly supports these funds being used to help right the wrongs of the past, and we are eager to see the positive impact these funds and associated initiatives have on impact zones and underserved communities of color. These communities need equitable ownership and employment opportunities in the legal cannabis industry. Unfortunately, in its current form, the SEAF does not accomplish this goal. When increased annually, the SEAF cripples legal operators by making cannabis prices higher throughout the supply chain. Price increases encourage consumers to shift their spending and purchase cannabis from cheaper and less safe, unregulated outlets, further weakening the legal industry. In addition to higher costs for all, the SEAF has an outsized negative impact on smaller entrepreneurs, businesses owned by social equity and diversely owned operators, as they lack the larger operators' scale and ability to offset higher taxes. In your letter to the governor and legislature last year, the commission recommended that SEAF-generated funds be used to provide grants and low-interest loans to this very same group of entrepreneurs. The NJ-CTA supports this idea as it builds upon the successful NJ-EDA program that has helped get local entrepreneurs up and running. Instead, the governor and legislature decided to allocate SEAF-derived revenues to community-based violence intervention programs, a line item that already has over $100 million allowance in the state's severely limited budget. Do we know if SEAF funds have even been dispersed? Do we have any evidence at all that the funds have made a meaningful impact on the intended communities? We know for a fact that cannabis operators have paid a steep price. What was the trade-off? Last October, the majority of this commission voiced concerns about raising the SEAF. One would think we'd see a different methodology for decision-making following last year's debacle. We need stakeholder conversations occurring so that the impacts of raising the fee are better understood. Sadly, nothing of the sort has taken place leading up to the decision this year. Increasing the fee now is a betrayal of the original legislation spirit. We urge the commission to collaborate with stakeholders, freeze the SEAF at $2.50 per ounce, and focus all efforts on immediately funding the programs recommended in the 2024 CRC report. Do the right thing and support entrepreneurs. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Todd. The next person on the list is Julie Aziz. If you're in the room, last four is 4367. Julie Aziz. I don't see Julie. The next person on the list is Andrea Rabel. Last four is 0229. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. Okay, I see you, Andrea. Andrea, you have the floor. Andrea, if you're going to unmute yourself, it is *6. And Andrea, if you can hear me, it's *6 to unmute yourself. try speaking now.
Andrea, we still can't hear you. Might be an issue if you're using headphones. Maybe try disconnecting the headphones and reconnecting, or just using the handset. But we're still having trouble. We can see that you are unmuting yourself, but we can't hear anything.
And just a reminder, it's *6 to unmute. So I see that you're unmuting, but we still can't hear you. If you're using like a headpiece or something, try disconnecting from the headpiece.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. I
You ha-
apologize. I'm not on headphones or anything, so I'm not sure what's going on here.
No worries, but the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. Sorry, everybody, about the delay. I would like to say thank you to the commission for opting to use a full agenda at this meeting. I know typically virtual meetings have a condensed agenda where we're not able to hear some of the updates on the data and the enforcements into things that consumers are looking to see out of these meetings. So I really do appreciate you sticking in there. I know it was a long one today, but this transparency helps. And on the line of transparency, I appreciate the clarity you've provided on the line between statutory, like legislative regulations, and things that can be handled within the CRC. I believe that we do need a lot more legislative support. I think the CRC has a lot of good intentions, and I think we need more resources to be able to match the speed at which the market is expanding. I know a lot of times it seems like patient issues and business desires go head to head, but there is a lot of common ground. Like Todd Johnson from the Trade Association was saying, we would love to see more stakeholder involvement in decision making. The C fund, which has good intentions, hasn't been put into effect yet, and I know that's not entirely within your control. But there are common grounds where the industry and patients have overlap, and the C fund is one of them. Higher prices on medicine or higher prices for consumers is just another barrier to accessing the medicine we truly need and the quantities that we truly need. Things like raising the patient limits or raising the medical adult use limits are important, because they can foster both industry development and patient safety. If we dial in and focus on the areas where we have overlap, we can further develop a system that works for all of the members in New Jersey, not just the industry holders, not just the license holders. And I really hope, I understand our commission's been limited right now, only having 3 members, but I do want to applaud how hard you've worked to keep the commission moving at full steam despite your limited board.
30 seconds.
I'm having some symptoms on my end, and I don't want to go over time, so I would just like to say, I know it can be difficult when it feels like a lot of people are putting pressure or are detractors. We do recognize the good that you're doing in the industry, but we also recognize the potential for the industry to be stronger, for consumers to have more transparency and trust in the market, and for industry members to not be so tied up with red tape. We're looking for this to be a collaborative process, and I look forward to the meeting in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm going to go over the list one more time for the people that signed up that didn't get a chance to speak. Donald Campbell, if you're in the room. Donald Campbell. I don't see Donald. Next person is Stephen Prager. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. I don't see Stephen. Kathy Bisignano. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. The next person is Julie Aziz. If you're in the room, please raise your hand. I don't see Julie. Chairwoman Wainu, this will conclude the registered speakers we have for today's public meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Saeed, and thank you to everyone who shared their experiences and their ideas and suggestions for the commission. Again, anyone who wants to submit written comments to the commission, you can do so in writing by going to our website, nj.gov/cannabis/meetings. And the deadline to submit comments for today's meeting is 5 o'clock tomorrow, Thursday, October 2nd. This concludes the business that we have before us today. So with that, I move that we adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this motion to adjourn? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of adjourning say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. The time is 2:47 p.m. and we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Happy Yom Kippur to those who celebrate, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.